Welcome, players, to the Triple Play Fantasy Basketball Show, a proud member of the Fantrax Podcast Network and the Fantrax HQ family. We are the podcast that is debating and battling with others, sometimes in our own network. I got my normal crew with me. I got the Coach's Corner, Coach James Lewis. What's going on?
Not much. Miss you guys. Proud to be here. I took a little Myers-Briggs personality test last night. A little introspective touch. I mean, it's crazy when you just click a couple circles of what they'll tell you about your personality. And I'll recommend you guys doing it the same. But I was categorized as a defender, so maybe I'll be a defender today.
All right. Well,
you're going to call you a LeBron stan?
There we go. 1 minute in, not even a minute in, we got our only LeBron reference, hopefully, for the day.
But he'll get talked about more.
The other guy you heard, that's Brad Kilgore, a.k.a. Brad Stradamus, the DFS god. What's going on?
Can't complain, man. Have you guys heard the good word about my Washington Wizards?
They're still under 500.
Not for long.
They're playing
only
great
2 games
ball.
out of 8, man. 2 games out of 8. This is how they're supposed to look. This is the team that I thought that was going to be top 4.
They're 2 games out of a playoff spot, which a team is currently under 500 occupying. Right. I love it.
They're playing great basketball,
dance,
Brad.
You just got to get into the dance. That's it.
Way to have faith. Way to stick with your team, Brad. They're playing great.
Brad is loyal. I love it. Well, we have a great show planned today, and it's going to be a little bit shorter one maybe because NBA is on All-Star break, and that means fantasy and normal games aren't happening. But we want to have some player debates, and we have some topics that are a little bit controversial. And with us basketball junkies, we want to debate back and forth, kind of see both sides of the coin. And we are going to do that with just the normal 3 this time. No guests this week, just keeping it in-house. But first, we have a little news and notes we have to discuss. And really the only thing happened around this time, Blake Griffin finally bought out by the Detroit Pistons. And it looks like the Brooklyn Nets are a front runner. So, Brad, I want to start with you on this. Do you like that fit?
Well, first off, I want to say shout out to all of us. We all said that we thought he was going to get bought out because, he didn't have a tradable contract. So, once again, Triple Play Fantasy, just proving we're geniuses. In terms of whether or not I like the pick for him, I look at that starting lineup and I say Kyrie and Harden, they're going to be in there. KD, he's going to be in there. He's not a better shooter than Joe Harris. He's not going to be there. And he can't play defense against people his own size, so he's not going to be able to play defense against centers. So he's not going to play center. So to me, he just decided that he's going to come off the bench as like a 6th, 7th, 8th man, in which case, okay, but what's your role going to be? Like, you're not a critical shooter. You don't play defense, so are you just going to be a rebounding scorer, or are you just trying to get a ring? I don't know. I would have rathered him go to a place like San Antonio where he could rehab his career a little bit. But I think if he wants to go get a ring or be on a winning team, who am I to knock him? Go for it.
So, Coach, I want to ask you this question. Blake Griffin was drafted in 2009, so he's a veteran. Do you think at this point in his career it's more important to rehab or to ring chase?
It's clear that he wants to play for a contender, and I think that right now with the injury riddled last 3 seasons, maybe even extending further than that, then it's a good go with, especially signing midway through the season. The people in contention, of course, the Nets are the favorites. The Lakers, Clippers, Heat, Warriors, they're all contenders. I mean, maybe that's a stretch for the Warriors, but maybe the Warriors.
I was waiting for that.
But maybe the Warriors was the only situation where maybe he actually finds a way in that starting lineup and could fit in with Draymond Green. Those other teams I don't see starting, maybe Miami, but yeah, I think he's accepting this bench role. I think that the Nets are the favorites. I think the Nets will land him. I think that he is going to be the KD replacement guy. When KD gets off the court, he's going to go in and help run the offense. He's not going to help you defensively, but with his passing ability, you can give him the ball and he can make plays. And KD, we saw like maybe they were playing him too many minutes, and maybe give him some rest. And then those days that Kevin doesn't play, then you can plug him in and see how he works with the chemistry of James Harden and Kyrie Irving and the rest of those guys.
I think I'm sorry, I mean to cut you off, Brad.
Well, one thing that's interesting is like if we do, all agree that he's ring chasing, I find it interesting that he chose Brooklyn instead of LA. Like why do you think Brooklyn is more equipped to win a championship than LA?
I think Brooklyn has the easier path to make it to the finals. I think you look and maybe the Bucks are a contender, but they never really show up. Maybe the 76ers, but they're in the same division. I think in the West, you're worried about the Jazz. You're worried about the Lakers. You're worried about the Clippers. You're worried about potentially the Nuggets. The Suns have looked really good. The Trailblazers are never an easy out. So I think the path to get to the finals is much easier in the East. The funniest thing I saw on Twitter, it's because I think Blake Griffin has 0 dunks this season. They said, if Kyrie or Harden throws an oop to Blake Griffin, I want the NBA to look into a tampering investigation. I think that would be hilarious. I forgot whoever tweeted that, but shout out to whoever did.
He's been saving the bounce for this move, man. He's bringing the dunks back.
So I think at this point he's ring chasing, and that's fine. He secured the bag. He probably has over $200 million just from salary alone. Probably way more in endorsements, being with Kia and with I think he was with Muscle Milk. He's not going to rehab his career. I think at this point, he was kind of a better Aaron Gordon, where he's a really good athlete, but a good basketball player, not a great one skill-wise. And I think at this point in his career, he's not a building block. He's somebody that can be a solid contributor off the bench. He's a big name, so anybody will accept him. And he can hopefully get a ring. Brad, I see it looks like you're ready to say I'm wrong and to hate me.
No, I wouldn't go that far. I think to call him Aaron Gordon is a little blasphemous. I mean,
I said a better Aaron Gordon. Okay, so Aaron Gordon.
I'd rather you say
Gordon,
like a worse somebody than a better.
Aaron Gordon is a diet Blake Griffin, to use your terms.
Okay.
Is that okay?
But that's okay for Aaron Gordon, but what does it mean for Blake Griffin? Like, you got to give him a better comparison.
Okay, he's the non-diet Aaron Gordon. Is that how it works? You can reverse it back and forth.
All right, I respect it.
I think that the Nets are front runners, maybe because players on Brooklyn are maybe voicing out to him that they want him to come join. Maybe that's the reason why the whole LA isn't the front runners. Maybe the Lakers have eyes on other people. They know they've talked about Hassan Whiteside possibly getting bought out, and that probably being a better fit based on what they need right now. And then the Clippers to reunite with them, that might be awkward. He might have ill feelings, ill will there.
Sure, yeah. But that's my thing. Like, I agree. Like, any contender he went to, he's gonna be coming off the bench, which is, to me, it's like, if you've already accepted you're coming off the bench, why don't you go to a team that is more likely to win the championship? And to me, it's not the team that has the easiest path. It's the team that's, that recently just won, and the team that has LeBron. Like,
and here you go, Doc. LeBron.
There you go. There you go.
Maybe LeBron doesn't like Blake Griffin. Maybe
I'm gonna mute all of you. LeBron isn't in the script, and he comes up. I think that's what
happens with greatness, man.
I think just to put the cherry on top, the rich get richer, and that seems like it's a reflection not just in the NBA but in society in general. But
hey Doc, I wanted to ask the panel. There's rumors that the Bulls are interested in Andre Drummond, and we had said earlier that it would be very difficult to find a trade partner for him because of his contract. Are we still in he's going to get bought out, or if I'm the Bulls, Lauri Markkanen, a first-round pick, Otto Porter to match a contract? Lauri Markkanen's probably gonna walk at the end of the year because he's on the last end of that deal. Do you go and say, hey, we want Andre as our future center here?
You're gonna block Wendell Carter. The Bulls, they need to decide whether they're gonna go all in, and Andre Drummond isn't that all in piece, or if they're gonna sell, which I think they should.
I think Andre Drummond can be an all in piece, but I agree with Eric. He's not. You have that young talent in Wendell Carter Jr. where you don't want a repeat of the situation you just had in Cleveland, where you've got a Jared Allen that's a budding star and you want him to flourish, and then you put another star next to him that's just going to eat what he does well. So I don't think that's a good fit.
But Wendell's not where Jared Allen is based on durability. One, he can't stay healthy, and then two, he's getting played off of the court defensively as well.
But
these
you
guys
just
are investing. They're investing in him. They're saying he can get there.
You spent a top 10 pick on him last year. Are you ready to kick the tire on it and say, yeah, he's not our future center? Like that is basically admitting that your front office had a bad draft, which a lot of GMs seem to do.
I like Wendell Carter, man.
So we're saying a first round pick is too much, though, because Otto Porter's on the end of his contract. He's walking.
I don't think it's that, but I don't think you trade for Drummond at this point in his career unless it's you need him. Like he's that all in piece. I think if you're the Bulls, you need as many picks and assets as possible because you're not anywhere close to being a contender.
He's 27, and I mean,
he's 27. No, I'm on a little different part of the spectrum than you, Eric. I think he's somebody you do bet on if you need him. He's not. The Bulls are not an Andre Drummond away from contending. And they've invested in a center in Wendell Carter Jr. and they want to see that play out. That's where I think Eric and I agree. Whether or not a first round pick is enough from him, sure, yeah, absolutely. I'd trade a first round pick for him, but it's not just trading a first round pick. It's the $30 million that's attached to him. So if you can get him in a buyout market for much cheaper, that's what you want to do.
No, well, good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Well, that's what I was saying. That's where Otto Porter's contract makes it.
Oh, you mean Max? Perfect. You mean Max contract Otto Porter?
Yeah, and he's on the last leg of it as well.
Well-deserved Otto Porter. You way to finesse Ernie Grunfeld. But do you like hearing about these old vets that are getting bought out? Well, make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button wherever you find your podcast. Want to hear more Triple Play? Great news for you. We have a fantasy baseball and football show that you can also check out, available anywhere you get your podcasts. We also have a website, tripplayfantasy.com, you can check out. If you're enjoying the content, how about being right and giving us a 5-star rating and review? Check us out on Twitter and IG at @TripPlayFantasy. Myself and Brad run our social media and provide daily questions. David eating an entire sleeve of Oreos without blinking, and our weekly episode drops. You know that feeling you get when you win a debate, when you see Stephen A. Smith shut up Max Kellerman and you're on Team SAS? That's the feeling we want to provide. We want to keep you entertained, but it starts with you. Thank you, the loyal players, for your listens each and every week, and we will get to player debates right after this short break. Player debates. And if we didn't debate already in our news and notes, well, these topics were meant to disagree, to spearhead, maybe to even end these friendships and relationships we have. I'm prepared for it.
Yo, Doc, speaking of debates, what do you think about Stephen A. Smith going behind Max Kellerman's back and trying to get Skip Bayless back?
I didn't see that. What?
Oh my God.
Maybe okay. Can we? That'll be our first debate. Actually, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So,
I haven't heard this either. So
this is all conjecture. Obviously, people just report this, but so Skip just signed like a 4-year, $32 million deal.
I love how it becomes public with that.
Yeah. The agents leak that, right? Because they want to say, look, this is what I can do for you if you were my client.
He's making almost Matthew Dellavedova money.
Yeah, exactly. So he signed with Fox, and he was in a bidding war with ESPN because ESPN wanted to reunite Skip and Stephen A. Smith back again for First Take, and they also wanted to put it on ESPN Plus because they're really trying to push their streaming. So I think the ESPN offered him somewhere like, it was reported like up to like $29 million or something like that. And then they also reported that Stephen A. Smith was really pushing to get the deal done. So he eventually went with the money and went back to Fox. But I thought that was absurd. Like Max Kellerman just got to read that. Like he just got to sit there and read that and then go to work the next day. Like that's crazy.
I mean, we know that First Take is Stephen A. Smith's show. Like they've cycled through hosts. They had Carrie Champion. Now they have Molly Karen Rose. I forgot who's Jay Crawford before that. Stephen A. Smith has kind of been the consistent one, and I think
Will Kane had a little run.
Yeah, but I think Skip Bayless is the villain that everybody hates but wants to watch.
Skip started it too. That cold pizza.
Yeah, and then first
butter and jelly, man.
But I think Max Kellerman tries too hard to be the villain, and people read into that. They're like, no, you're trying too hard, and we don't even respect your sports takes.
Oh,
Did you know Max Kellerman has a rap video?
I do. I have seen that.
Okay, we just
I
need to put it
respect
out
his
there.
takes. Max Kellerman knows what he's talking about. He's just very.
He knows a lot about boxing.
He's the best boxing analyst.
He is the best boxing analyst. But like, I think everybody is tired of his like, oh, Tom Brady, this is the year he falls off the cliff, and there being like some new excuse why he hasn't yet. And I think like that's the narrative that will always follow Max Kellerman.
But you have to have a take. Like everybody has like Skip is the LeBron hater. Like everybody has a take.
But he can figure out new ways to hate LeBron. Max Kellerman is just always changing his points. I said he'd fall off the cliff if he played for the Patriots. I never said he's always has those caveats, and you're like, all right, dude, stop.
I think the new marriage with Shannon Sharp at Undisputed. I don't see Skip. I see Skip just looking happier.
I mean,
why would he want to leave?
Who else goes?
Shannon has his contract coming up, and he was making half of what Skip was making, and now he's slated to get a bunch more. So there's a chance he might come to ESPN and take Max Kellerman's job.
No, I hope he doesn't. But because who else is going to go? Skip.
I'm a Undisputed fan over First Take all day. If I have to choose,
I don't watch anymore. They reach for those storylines, but let's start with our first storyline here, and this is our first player debate, and this is an interesting one that I thought of that I think you can go both ways for. And which player has the better range? Is it Steph Curry or is it Damian Lillard? And Brad, I want to start with you. Who are you picking?
Listen, man, this is going to be short and sweet. This is an easy question for me. The answer is probably the best shooter of all time, and that's Steph Curry. If there was one shot and I had to shoot it from half court, I'm looking for Steph Curry. There's nothing about. The only reason that we know Dame Lillard has the range he has is because Steph made it okay to shoot those crazy shots. That's what he does. If there was a logo for people who shoot like a Jerry West of shooters, it would be Steph Curry. He's an incredible talent. We've never seen anything like him. Maybe, we could do the debate if we went back and Larry Bird or Ray Allen were in today's NBA, they could do the same thing. Maybe, I don't know. But today, Steph Curry does things that we've never seen before. That's my pick.
All right,
did you say something about a logo? Logo Lillard is the answer here. I mean, he shoots more of them. He shoots a higher percentage from 40 than he does right there at the line. I think it's the answer is Lillard because we've witnessed more deep range shots, and that's nothing to take away from Steph. Steph's a great shooter. You can't go wrong with either of these guys, but you got to give the nod to Damien Lillard as the deepest ball shooter and also our clutchest and greatest closer of the game right now in the NBA. So give me Dame.
Coach, I'm going to stay with you on that, and I'm glad that it's not an overwhelming Steph. I think Steph can make the furthest shots, but the caveat is he has to be open. I think when you think about range, you think about distance from the basket. But I think Damian Lillard is better. And perfect example, the shot he had over Paul George to end the Thunder. He stepped to the side and shot that. And I think about
36 feet.
36 feet out. And I think about that with range too. Is Damian Lillard is better shooting sideways or falling back or shooting at a bad angle. I think Steph could hit a half-court shot easier, but that doesn't, to me, encompass all of range. He's a much, much better open shooter where it's like, oh, man, he has an open shot or there's somebody within a foot of him. All right, yeah, he's going to make it. I don't think we're debating that he's the better shooter, but I think Damian Lillard, whether it's step back, whether it's to the side, whether it's off balance, can make those more difficult shots at a further distance more consistently than Steph Curry. But Brad, with that being said, I want to go back to you. You changing your mind?
Hell no.
Oh.
I think it's a volume thing, too. I think he just shoots a lot more. I don't know if Steph has shot as many, but because of that, I got to give the nod to Dame.
You know why he does that? Because he doesn't have the number one, the dribble prowess that Steph has, and he doesn't have the offense that creates shots for Steph like Dame does, or like Steph has. So Steph doesn't have to shoot from 40 because Draymond Green is I was about to cuss. Draymond Green.
There's a
Draymond
first.
Green is the conductor of this offense, and he knows exactly where everybody's supposed to be. He knows this pick is supposed to be there, that off ball pick is supposed to be there. Steph, you go run around there, and you're gonna come and hit this 22-foot corner three, easy money. Dame Lillard, on the other hand, he's the entire offense. Like, it just runs through him. That's all it is, and everybody knows that the ball is coming to him, so he has to hit those contested 40-footers because there's nowhere else to go. Like that is the offense. Like if Steph was in a position where he had to take 40-footers, he could hit him. Like you said, it's a volume game. He doesn't shoot as much. Yeah,
there is a schematical thing here. Steve Kerr is actually going to run plays that are going to set up Steph Curry for a good open shot. Where Portland, we know the MO. It's going to Dame, and he's going to dribble the clock out, and then he's going to sidestep you from wherever. Yep. And then if you blink, he still has territory to go to the 3-point line and make it on you. So I think that plays a big factor here. And maybe that's a little bit on Portland, but if he makes them, then you can't be mad at that.
Oh, I'm not mad at him. I'm just saying that doesn't mean that Steph can't do it. It just means he doesn't have to.
I would double Dame Lillard too. I would just make them pass the ball and then deny him every time I see that.
That's why they can't win in the playoffs, because that's what they do.
So minus CJ McCollum being hurt for this year, he's been pretty healthy for the last 5-6 years. That's a great Robin to have to Dame being Batman. And Dame is still doing his thing, creating his own shot. They've had rotating pieces and big men doing that, but I think they realize that's more effective. They could run the system for Dame Lillard doing that as well, having CJ McCollum bring the ball up. But I don't think Steph Curry could do it as easily because he's very slight. I think if he didn't have the screens that he did, or if he didn't have Draymond conducting the offense, there is no way that he'd be able to get these shots as easily or hit them as a high contested rate because of his body.
I'm pretty sure Steph is bigger than Dame. I think Steph is like 6'3", 2 something. Let me look this up.
Yeah, to Doc's point, he does operate off the pick and roll for separation. He relies on that a little bit more than Dame does. Dame doesn't need a screen to create more separation, although your point is right. I think Steph is a little bit bigger. I think he's maybe even an inch or two taller.
I know he's tall. I know he's taller. I'm just talking about that slight frame. Like, I was watching Davidson highlights, and I was like, wow, this guy doesn't look like he can even bench the bar. So according
to Google, Dame is an inch shorter and 4 pounds heavier. So yeah,
there we go.
I guess you can have that one, Eric.
All right. Brad admitting he's wrong. I'm all for it. All right, the next debate, and this is the player you would want to build around, and it's two players that are always in the MVP conversation, but haven't even gotten to the finals leading their own team, and that's James Harden and Giannis. And I said leading their own team because James Harden got it. Their 2011 with OKC. Coach, I want to start with you. You're a GM. In fact, take out the contract because they're both max players. Which one are you building your team around?
The Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He is 26 years old. It's over, boys. Should I say anymore? He's back-to-back MVP. He finished third in Defensive Player of the Year last year. I could much rather form a team based on a defensive force that's going to shut down the paint around Freak than I can around James Harden. And yes, he's spectacular offensively, one of the greatest offensive players I ever seen. But let's talk about character, better teammate. Give me age, give me defensive ability, give me character, and a sprinkle of a better teammate for the win. And to quote Giannis, it's over, boys.
What is that in referring to when the
chicken wing when they announced that his team was LeBron James, Steph Curry, Doncic and Jokic is pretty hilarious.
I was going to be sarcastic and say, is that his quote when the Bucks get eliminated in the second round of the playoffs to the Heat?
That's what I was thinking, Eric.
There we go.
That team went to the finals, and the year before they lost to the Raptors, who won the finals. So it's better than Harden kind of just giving up winning one game against the Lakers.
All right.
They both haven't had great moments in the playoffs, and so I wouldn't be like, oh, James Harden has had greater playoff performances, because that's not true.
Okay. All right, Brad, you double downing on the Greek Freak?
So before I answer, I have a question. Are they both going to get better, or am I saying I'm taking them as they are?
You're taking them now, and keep in mind that you're building your team around them. So they're max players. So you're going to have limited salary cap, but do you want to, build a team around Harden, surround him with shooters, or do you want to have Giannis and maybe surround him with people that can defend well, or a ball handler? So we're putting our GM hats back on like we did earlier in this year. And keep in mind, you'd have whatever draft picks, but if you're building your team today, who are you trying to go for? Take away age, just factor in the skill in their game.
Okay. So the only flaw in Harden's game is that he doesn't play great defense. The only
breaking news.
Yeah. The only flaw in Giannis's game is that he can't shoot for shit. So
it's true.
28.5 career 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
And it's not going up. It's not going up.
When he was younger, I was like, okay, that'll go up and he's just going to be unstoppable. But by now I'm thinking this is what he is. And that's fine. Like, the dude's 7 feet. Like, what more can you ask for? He's incredible. He's, like you said, back-to-back MVP. He's incredible. But, when I look at building a team, I think it's much easier to add shooters than it is to create a team that is championship sound defensively, because there are so many different schemes and so many different players that you have to account for. So in that, I'm looking for Giannis. Like, I can find 5 NBA caliber shooters that can shoot, 38% and up, and fill out a roster, with the rest of my cap room, or go in the draft and get some sharpshooters. Like, it's much easier to find shooters than it is to find defenders. And I think with that, you're going to have the issue where playoff time comes, the game slows down, and you want to go to Giannis, but Giannis gets kind of taken out of the game because he can't shoot. And, he's only, he's going to go to his patented dribble spin around move, and that's going to be that. But if you can develop a team where there's shooters that he can kick out to at all times, if they had a Steph Curry or, a Drew Holiday, which they now have, like, they're just going to be able to do a lot more offensively with a team that has shooters. So I like building around Giannis, to be honest.
All right. Well, I'm going to go.
But James Harden's the better player.
So I'm going Harden. And Brad, you've said in the past, and Daryl Morey said as well, he might be the greatest offensive player ever. Yes. And you're not only talking about scoring with him. Think about the way the game is played now. The mid-range game is gone, and that's what Giannis specializes in. If he's not getting to the hoop, he's taking mid-range jumpers, which is proven to be the most inefficient shot. So James Harden is a great scorer. He's great at drawing fouls. So if you're having a great defender and he gets 2 quick fouls in them, that quickly changes the game. He's now a great passer. He's the point guard for the Nets, and he's averaging – yeah, well, he now has the ball in his hands more. He's averaging 11.4 assists ever since he got in Brooklyn this year. I think if you can get a good team around him, I'm not saying he's going to be a great defender, but I think he's going to be a little bit more motivated to play some defense. I think with Houston, they were all in on small ball. And when Robert Covington is playing the 5 and you're getting out rebounded by the Anthony Davises, the Zubac's, it's like, all right, what's the point in playing defense? Because if they miss the shot, they're not getting the rebound anyway. If I'm building a team, I'm surrounding it with Harden because it's an offensive game now. And get DeAndre Jordans, get rim protectors, get people that aren't going to take as many shots. And you go down to the end of the game, Do you trust Giannis taking that shot to create his own? I'd much rather have the ball in Harden's hands. And the Rockets have gone to 2 Western Conference semifinals. They almost beat the Warriors, who were the powerhouse at that time. I think in that Game 7, they missed their first 22 three-pointers when not having Chris Paul. And I know that's a Max Kellerman argument. I hate to bring up Max Kellerman, but it's like they literally had probably one of the worst shooting performances in NBA history, and they were 1 game away from going to the finals and probably beating the Cavs that year. I don't think you can go wrong going with these two. And I know if I included Luka, that probably would have been the easy one. But I'd rather go with the guy that I think fits the mold better in the NBA today.
He's 31 years old. And I think that the whole small ball thing, yeah, they did that last year, but he's played with bigs and defensive forces in the middle. Like Capella is an elite interior defender, a great lob catcher. They did the Dwight Howard experiment. I mean, they had Chris Paul, who's feisty defensively, with PJ Tucker, who's always been really good defensively. Capella, so they went that direction, and yet it didn't work. So they switched over with Russell Westbrook.
Here's my thing. I don't think they should have gone completely small ball, where your tallest guy in the court is 6'7".
I disagree. They should have. They should have done that.
I think you needed one rim protector like Utah does with now. Rudy Gobert controls the paint, and you go small. Besides that, you have Conley, you have Dom, you have Bogdanovich, you have Clarkson if you want in there. But you do need some rim protector to alter shots in the paint and to get
like Conley? Utah's a big-ass team. He's a point guard, but you just named Bogdanovich and Ingles. And
Bogdanovich doesn't play big, and he's slow.
You worrying? He's like 6'8".
But I'm saying, are you worrying about them getting rebounds? Or I'm not saying small, but I'm saying the type of style they play.
Utah has the best defensive rating in the league.
And it's because of Rudy Gobert. It is because of Rudy Gobert. There is a reason why he's won like 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards.
Defensive rating is a team defense thing. It's not just Rudy.
He changes the game. He changes the game. Conley is a great wing defender, but I'm talking about someone in the interior to alter shots, to block, to get rebounds, to make people.
Utah is number 1 in defense this year. That hasn't happened every year. It's not just because of Rudy Gobert. But my point was
Conley's healthy too.
Yeah.
But Giannis is Rudy Gobert, but averages 30 and 16.
He hasn't even gotten close to sniffing the NBA Finals.
Yes, he has. They were up 2-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals, right? They lost. Yes, they lost one row. They were close. They had a 2-0 advantage in the Eastern Conference.
And they figured out Giannis.
The thing with Harden was that they just weren't a complete team. Like the Rockets were not a complete team. They could only look to Harden. He was the only scorer that they had. When you have that kind of thing, you can't win in the playoffs. Now he's on Brooklyn, and they're still not a complete team. They cannot play defense. You can't bet on them to score 150 every single game, or at least four times out of 7 times in the playoffs, which is why I worry about the Nets, to be honest. Now, when you look at a team like the Bucks or the Lakers or the Sixers, they're doing well on the offensive side and the defensive side. That's what you need in the playoffs. So when I look at building a team, I want to have the most well-rounded team as possible. So it's much harder to build a defensive juggernaut with an offensive team that has James Harden than it is to have a Giannis who can do both and then just surround him with shooters and figure it out. Like, I don't need him to take the last shot.
I don't know what Nets team you're watching. They are second in the Eastern Conference and have went 9-1 in their last 10 games without having Kevin Durant, including wins at Clippers, at the Lakers, a 24-point comeback.
If that mattered, those 73 and 8 or 73 and 9 Warriors would have won the championship. The game slows down in the playoffs. Like, this is not
okay. The Warriors didn't win that.
It's not going to happen.
The Warriors team didn't win that year, but they won 3 out of those 4 years. So that's a perennial contender. You're pointing to the 1 year they didn't win, and not the 3 years they did.
I'm saying it doesn't matter that you're just the offensive team, and that was a different league. Like the league has caught up to them now. But I'm just saying that you can't be an offensive juggernaut and play 0 defense and win in the playoffs. It just can't happen. You're not going to score 150 points a game like you are in the regular season.
We'll see, because this is probably the best big 3 of all time. No,
hands down. That's what I said when it happened. I had to convince you of that.
I said it was the best big three. Offensively, yes, the best big three ever. But
the best, like I guess, like most. We're talking about most talented, right? Not
offensively,
the best.
Offensive.
Right. They haven't. Right. We don't know that they're. The
best. They haven't won a ring yet. We can't call them the best.
Goodness,
played like 20 games
yet. But let's go to somebody that we build our team around, to somebody that doesn't get as much recognition as they should. And both of these players are all-stars, but I think a lot of NBA junkies can think that these guys get snubbed, especially when it comes to the all-star voting. And that's Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell, two Western Conference guards that, look, let's be honest, the West is loaded with guards, with Steph, with Luka, with Dame Lillard. They're not going to be able to overshadow these guys, at least in the next year or so. But Brad, I want to start with you, or Coach, I want to go back to you and start on this one. Actually, no, Brad. Who is more underrated, Devin Booker or Donovan Mitchell?
I mean, there's only one of these people has scored 70 points in a game.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were.
The dude he's probably one of the most disrespected players in the game, just because he's just a pure scorer. Like, he's so fluid. He's so smooth. You talk about a guy that can hit guarded shots. So you're talking about Dame Lillard. Like, this guy, he can hit a turnaround J like nobody's business. He's like Kobe reincarnated. Like, I've never seen a guy shoot with such effortlessness. Like, he just makes everything look so easy and smooth. Donovan Mitchell, he's having a great year. I'm not a huge fan of him. I think he's really inefficient. I don't think he's a two-way player. Neither is Devin Booker, but Devin Booker, you know what you're getting on offense every single night. If you want him to score 40, he can score 40. It's the same James Harden thing. Like, if you want James Harden to score 40, he can score 40. If you want him to do other stuff, he can do other stuff. But it's on Donovan Mitchell to do more for his team than it is Devin Booker this year, so he's getting more shine. So I'll say Devin Booker.
All right, Coach. Are you riding the Book train?
Yes, for different reasons. Well, they're both 24. They're both 25, 5 and 5 guys. So it's funny looking at their statistics and where they are. They're both all-stars this year. D-Book, 2-time all-star. I think they both are, actually. But what's surprising to me is Donovan Mitchell. He doesn't look small, but he is 6'1". And I like just the versatility that Devin Booker is 6'5". That's 4 inches taller. You might not notice that just by on visual, because he kind of looks like D Wade, and he can guard bigger guys, and he doesn't seem like a liability. Yes, Devin Booker is super smooth. It's weird. He's a career 35% 3-point shooter, and he doesn't shoot a high volume. He only shoots 6. Donovan Mitchell 36. Yeah, it's about the same, but he shoots more. And based on that, like that's still a better trajectory. Like you want, and people have been banging this drum a long time. You want Devin Booker to shoot more threes. I'm still taking Devin Booker because of his one-on-one ability, because of his ability to get his own shot in the half court. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell is more explosive. But I think, and I know you guys were hard on Shaq, but I thought his criticism was fair. Right? He started with Donovan. You're one of my favorite players in the league, but the challenge was you don't have what it takes to get to the next level. In response is,
it wasn't a challenge. Right. He just said you don't have what it takes. It was like a declarative
and he's allowed
statement.
to do that, though. He's Shaquille O'Neal. He can do that. Not. I know he might not watch enough of the game, but when you are one of the top 10 greatest players of all time, you can challenge people, right?
Just you didn't challenge him. He just disrespected him.
He said,
all he did was say. He said you don't have. He said you don't have what it takes to go to the next level. He didn't say. Yes. I don't think you have what it takes. Like it's just.
He said, "Quote, you're one of my favorite players to watch in the league, but you don't have what it takes to get to the next level." So what?
That's not a challenge. That's a declarative statement. That's just trying to shit on him.
He can do that. He's one of the greatest players of all time.
So you know what's funny?
You can say anything you want to anybody. You can say anything you want to anybody. It's just corny. Yeah. Like so you're taking credit for it now.
You guys both agreed that Devin Booker is the more underrated, and yet you're finding a way to debate.
Because
we're talking about different things now.
I'm getting Shaq on the coach's corner because I want to talk some basketball with him. Why is he?
All right.
Well, I'm gonna delete that from the feed.
Well, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna say Donovan Mitchell is the more underrated. So you talk about height. Coach mentions he's 6'1" and says 6 foot on Basketball Reference. Yeah. This is a guy that has increased his scoring each year, his rebounding each year, his assists each year. He actually shoots a better percentage from 3 than Devin Booker. Shoots a little less from 2. I look at team success. I mean, they're number 1 and 2 in the West right now. So you've seen the ascension of the Suns with Chris Paul. But you look at last year, the Jazz were 50, or in 2019, I'll say the Jazz were 50 and 32. The Suns were 19 and 63. Last year, without a complete season, the Jazz were the 5th seed. I'm pulling up the standings right now. They were 44 and 28, and the Suns were 34 and 39, and they had that big boost in the bubble.
And it was literally Devin Booker that
it was Devin Booker that had a great stretch. But Brad, to neutralize your point that he scored 70, Brandon Jennings scored 57 in the game.
He's also disrespected.
And Donovan Mitchell did drop a 57 in the playoffs against the Nuggets.
Yeah, and
none of those are 70.
Look, I mean, Devin Booker took a lot of shots to get to 70. I mean, props to him though; he did it. Like very few people can say they've scored 70 in a game. But I'd
rather have 57 in the playoffs.
But I look at the team success too. Like basketball is a team sport, and they are both the alphas.
So why are you knocking Devin Booker for having a worse?
Because their record is so much worse. He has a good big man in DeAndre Ayton.
First time he's had a legitimate team.
Kelly Oubre. All right, Kelly Oubre. You said it, but I'm not saying that he hasn't had the best team. But a 19 and 63. Or a 34 and 39.
Who's been on his team? You've done nothing to on Kelly Oubre.
Kelly Oubre, the most handsome man ever.
Yeah. Oh no, you've done nothing but say how shitty he is, and now you're
I'm giving you your own medicine. I'm giving you your own medicine that you can say that he had Kelly Oubre.
Oh my God. That's insane. I can't believe this. I should take up. I'm gonna splice in an edit when we drop this podcast of you just saying how many times you just think Kelly Oubre is trash, and now that you
the compilation together.
He is having a trash year, and Kelly Oubre isn't amazing. But when you said who is he doing, I'm using your guy that you're using that you think is amazing, Kelly Oubre.
Okay.
Hey, to Doc's point though. When Donovan Mitchell got to the Utah, they were bad, and Gordon just left.
Yeah, Gordon.
They were still good. His rookie year, Donovan Mitchell came out averaging 20, and they were in playoff contention. They were he's never not been in the playoffs, and they're good every year. They have
the defensive player of the year. They have Bogdanovich. They have Joe Ingles. They have a complete.
They didn't always have him.
Rudy Gobert was not Rudy Gobert of today when he first got into that team.
Donovan Mitchell.
They built around Donovan better, and yes, he's on a better team, but he still has had better individual success. And not one time have the Suns been able to make the playoffs in Devin Booker. Eventually, the management and the team and the ownership, all that has something to do with it. Yes, and I also took Devin Booker because he shoots 50% from the field, and Donovan Mitchell shoots 42.
That's
but
like
still,
saying Devin Booker's dinging. Hold on, Eric. Okay. This is like dinging like Karl Anthony Towns for being trash because Minnesota has been terrible every single year of his career. A terrible organization is a terrible organization through and through. Phoenix is a terrible organization. Do
you think Utah's a great organization? They're better. I don't think they're great.
Karl Malone, John Stockton. You can't name a single great player on Minnesota historically.
Kevin Garnett.
Okay. Yeah, Kevin Garnett. But exactly, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Like Phoenix is awful. Like Phoenix is just as bad as Minnesota in that realm. Like Utah has legends. I hate the place. Like I would never want to go to Utah. I'd never want to be, a Utah fan. But you can't deny that they know how to build a team. And
did
Phoenix
the Suns
doesn't.
not have
year.
Did the Suns not have a more championship contender team recently when they had Nash, Amari, Sean Marion, Quentin Richardson, Leandro Barbosa? I know they never made it to the finals. Steve Nash was back-to-back MVPs, and they were a favorite each year. Yeah, they were championship contenders that never seemed to get over that hump. Maybe if Nash doesn't get
I
checked.
mean, that's
Even
you're
if
saying
Nash-
that like every team, like there's only a few teams that win one team wins a championship every
No,
year.
but I'm
like,
saying
I
a
don't know.
contender. But I'm saying has Utah been a favorite or a contender to win the championship since the Malone and Stockton days in the mid '90s?
No, but they've been consistently playoff
Phoenix has been more recent a contender
this year.
This year.
So you're saying those Phoenix Suns days in the mid 2000s were not championship contenders?
That was 15 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
That is more recent than Utah, and that's what I'm saying. If you're going to bring the organization,
bro, Utah's been a contender for like the past 5 years.
A championship contender, no. They've been a 4th or 5th seed. Are you going to say that that's a championship contender in the West?
Nah, they're as much of a contender as the Pacers. They're just a good. They've just been a good team.
When the Warriors and the Cavs and the Rockets were like, and the Bucks were like the 4 biggest contenders left.
There's a humongous leap from being a 4 or 5 seed and being completely out of the playoff picture.
Unfortunately,
that's a big leap.
Unfortunately, though, the opinions of the mass public is always going to favor the guy that's winning more, even if you mentioned Cat, and I thought about him like, yeah, but
this is our podcast.
I'd rather have Adebayo because he's more of a winning player to me. But if you look at statistics,
I would too.
Cat runs away.
I would as well. But
that wasn't the point I was making. I was saying that a great player can't always overcome a terrible organization that builds terrible teams around him. That was my point. I'd also rather have Bam, but I was just saying that we're using his team success as a ding against both of them when Devin Booker has had a better team and a better organization his entire career.
Yeah, I agree. He has had a better team and better organization.
Yeah, we
yeah,
both of those are great young players, but they do need some help to get over the hump. And as long as LeBron James and then Kevin Durant on the other side, they're not going to be able to get over the hump as far as winning championships. But
and that was my point.
And that's where they are
about getting over the hump. Like,
and Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady and these great players, they didn't win either. And then you see Paul Pierce needed Kevin Garnett and Rondo and Ray Allen. I mean,
Charles Barkley. Who did Charles Barkley play for? Never get a ring.
The Suns. Well, he went to the finals with the Suns. Yeah,
exactly. The Phoenix Suns. And now, who does Devin Booker play for?
All right, so we're saying Devin Booker is going to end his career cherry picking with the Rockets. But the last debate we got here, and you're a Celtics fan. We're Danny Ainge. Which player are you building around and you trade away the other? So keep in mind the value you're going to get. Both are on max contracts. So the couple million that separates their salaries isn't going to put a huge difference. But Jaylen Brown or Jayson Tatum? Coach, I'm starting with you. Which one you keeping? Which one's you shipping?
It's tough.
All right. So my answer is Jayson Tatum. But before
are you keeping Tatum or are you trading Tatum?
I'm keeping Tatum. I think Tatum's the better player. I'm not shipping Jaylen Brown. I don't know the return that I'm gonna get as far as equal value. Now, if you could have stumbled across that
was the question.
You have to. You have to trade.
Why not keep them together? It'd be some of the best pairing of
trajectory forever. Yeah, don't be a politician and dance around.
I think it's an easy question here. Then I think that Jayson Tatum's been better his entire career up until this point, and yeah, Jaylen Brown is having a good year, and yeah, he got his points up. But who's the alpha on that team is Jayson Tatum. He's 6'8".
Tatum and shipping Jaylen Brown.
I'm not trying to ship him, but yeah, if I choose. You don't have to. You got to hold on to your parts.
They're both in your office. They're looking at you in the eye.
Jayson Tatum's better. There's a reason why he's starting in the All-Star game tomorrow.
They come in your office. They say, "What's going on, Miss?" They say, "What's going on, Mr. Ainge? Why did you call us in at this odd hour?" You say, "Fellas, I have a button behind my desk. That's the trade button. One of you guys is going to go to Utah, where you don't want to go." Let's imagine Utah is 19-63.
It's Jaylen Brown.
Worst fans out there. Which one are you shipping? Okay.
And the reason why is it's just the offensive arsenal and ability to isolate and score. He is the vocal leader defensively of that team. He's a little longer. He's 6'8" compared to Jaylen Brown's is 6'6", even though Jaylen Brown is an excellent defender. I can trust giving Jayson Tatum the ball at the end of the game, and he can finish it for me.
So Coach, here is my caveat, and then I'll go to Brad before I say mine. Danny Ainge admitted, and we're Danny Ainge, remember, that they do not have a championship roster right now. You're going to get – I don't think we're debating that at least you and I, that Tatum is the better player. You're probably going to get a better return for Tatum than you would for Jaylen Brown. It's just something to think about. So, Brad, with that argument. So with that being said, Brad, perfect transition. You trading Jayson Tatum?
So the
for who? Karl Anthony Towns? It's a terrible trade. It's a terrible trade.
I wouldn't do that. So the question was, who are you going to keep? You have to trade one. The answer is you trade the one that can give you the most return because they're so close in their talent level. So the answer is, Jayson Tatum is absolutely the better player. He's been the better player his entire career. He's on that Devin Booker level of like just a fluid game, somebody who looks like they were born to play basketball. He's excellent. But everybody in the league agrees that, which makes him more valuable. Everybody in the league doesn't agree that Jaylen Brown can be that same player. So one thing I look at with Jaylen Brown is for his career, he averages 14.3 points, 5 boards, 2 assists. This year alone, he's made a humongous leap, averaging 25 points, 6 boards, and 4 assists. And he's shooting 39% from 3. So I look at a guy like that and I say, okay, if he's making this kind of jump, and this is what, his 3rd or 4th year in the league right now, and he's making this kind of jump, what's he going to do? 5th year. So what's he going to do by the time he's in his prime, when he's in his 8th, 9th year in the league? He's going to be even better. So I'm shipping Jayson Tatum and surrounding as many, picks or young talent as I can with him. Like Jaylen Brown has just made a humongous leap. He's way better than I thought he'd be. And I thought he was going to be pretty good. But this leap that he took this year has just kind of blown my mind. They look like 1A and 1B right now. And I definitely would go with shipping off Tatum.
So I'm glad we're all in agreement that Tatum is the better player. I'm actually keeping him because I think with the Celtics, look, they're both young. There are Tatum is 23, I think, and Jaylen Brown is 24.
Yeah.
So you're going to have them for a while. So I don't think the hey, we need to win now. We're in that championship window plays as much a factor. I look at Jaylen Brown and he's having a career year in terms of points, in terms of assists, in terms of shooting percentage, both from the 2 and the 3. Defense, he averaged 1.1 steals last year. I mean, he's averaging 0.1
it's not
more
about
blocks.
His steals, it's about his defensive rating.
His defensive rating is good too. But I haven't been a big Jaylen Brown fan. And I think he's showing his peak value right now. I don't think he's going to get much better than this. If anything, I see him reverting back to maybe an 18, 19 points per game. It's actually interesting because I do a lot of player props. And Jaylen Brown, his player prop was, 25.5 over under 23.5. And I'd look and he was shooting so efficient from the field. He was shooting, 54, 55% a game. And I was like, look, there's no way he can keep this up. If he shoots 11 to 21 and drops 28 points, yeah, I'll accept the loss on that. But I'm banking more of like a 9 for 19 type of day, which isn't bad.
So Doc, I like what you're doing right there. We essentially agree the exact same point, but my thesis was that his trajectory is going to continue going up, and you're thinking that he's going to revert to his mean. And I think that's a fair point to make, and you might actually be right. I just just to kind of go back in the argument, I would say once I trade Jayson Tatum, he's getting those shots. So to say he's going to revert back to 18 points doesn't make sense. He's going to take more shots than he was prior. So he's going to be a 30-point per game scorer.
That's a good point. He probably won't have that efficiency. But keep in mind, Tatum went to Kobe Bryant's basketball camp. He seems like he has more of that lockdown Mamba mentality.
He's better.
If the Celtics were in like a Warriors situation where their window is closing, or like a Lakers or a Clippers where you're trying to win now, I'd say, yeah, I can see why you want to get more value in the short run. But because of their age, I don't think you have to rush it. I think we all agree that Tatum has the higher ceiling. And when you have a championship window of maybe 9 or 10 years playing in the weaker conference, I think you want to stay with the player that you trust to take that last shot, that is 2 inches taller than Jaylen Brown. So you can put him.
I'm not sure it's the weaker conference anymore, man.
I still think it's a little bit weaker. I think the balance of power is getting a little bit better, but I still think there are more teams that you'd be scared to face in the West than you would in the East.
I love that we thought this was going to be a short podcast.
You know what? I realized right away. I said, nah, it isn't.
That is hilarious. I would say that Jayson Tatum has superstar potential, and he was on the bubble of top 10 players in the league for me on my pecking order. And Jalen Brown just isn't close to that, and I couldn't send a potential superstar
close
away. No,
so you don't even have him. So you got Jayson Tatum.
Top 10.
You got Jayson Tatum, second team All NBA, and you don't have Jaylen Brown, third team.
I mean, this is a 33-game sample. I like Doc. I think that his numbers are going to revert down a little bit. He's shooting the best percentage of his career, but his trajectory right now at 33 games in, I don't know. I didn't do my numbers, but no, I don't have him in my All NBA list. I'd rather have Ben Simmons, but I think the other guys we talked about, Devin Booker, Mitchell, I think they're all better than Brown. They all have higher ceilings, and those guys can't win. So I wouldn't try to ship the one guy that does have superstar potential and Jayson Tatum out to try to build around Jaylen Brown. I don't care what type of return I am getting.
So what makes you think that Jaylen Brown doesn't, you both think he's not going to get better? Why is that? What about him?
I think he'll get better. I just don't think he's going to be on the same level.
So if you think
on par with Jayson Tatum,
so that's not really making sense to me. If you get better from being 25, 5, and 4, how are you not going to be a superstar?
So wait, Brad, but before I answer that, I pulled up the standings right here. There are 5 teams that are above 500 in the East, and there are 9 in the West. So I think it's getting a little bit more balanced, but I still think the West is a little bit more higher up. For me, I think Jaylen Brown is, when Kemba Walker missed the beginning of the year, it was really okay, we invested a max contract into you. You and Jayson Tatum are the 1A, 1B.
Also, why do you think they did that? Why do you think they gave him a max contract?
Because you can't let him go for nothing. They picked him 3rd overall, and that was a highly scrutinized.
Can let him go for nothing.
That was a highly scrutinized.
You give a person a max contract because you think they're going to be a superstar.
You trade him, or you trade him, or you sign him. You don't let players that would immediately be snatched up for other teams go for nothing. That's why they tried it. They didn't like Isaiah Thomas, and they traded him for Kyrie Irving.
But I'm saying, why do you think they chose to give this guy a max contract?
Because
they think highly of him.
Yeah, they think highly of him, but I think they think more highly of Tatum. Mike Conley got a max contract without making an All-Star game. The max contract was meant so that you can keep homegrown talent or players that you drafted and pay them more. So there's
Mike Conley got a max contract because he's elite. It doesn't matter. All-Star game doesn't matter to GMs.
If Mike Conley was elite, and I think we all agree Mike Conley should have been an all-star before this year, but if Mike Conley was elite, there wouldn't even be a debate that 13 years into his pro career, he should have gotten his first one. He has never been in that upper tier. If you're saying elite, I think of Steph. I think of Dame. So you're putting Mike Conley.
Yes, that's why he hasn't made the. That's why he hasn't made the All-Star team. You can only make.
But then he's not elite. But he's not elite if he's not in that tier.
You can't bring in people to play in Memphis anyways too. So that has incentive in these contracts. You got to keep those guys in house.
The grit and grind era there was over.
I'm getting off base here. I don't want to debate Mike Conley, but I will say
that'll be another time. Next time.
Yeah, that'll be another topic. But I will say, just to get back to the Jaylen Brown thing, why is it that you guys don't think he can be a superstar? Why do you think he's going to revert back down instead of get better? I don't. 25 years old.
It's not that I don't think he can't be a superstar. I think he's a better player, and I'll admit I was more wrong on Jaylen Brown than I thought. I think Jayson Tatum's ceiling is higher. And when they're both
I'm not talking about Jayson Tatum. Okay. I'm talking about Jaylen Brown. Just him. Why is it that you think he can't be a superstar?
I think first of all, he's been a beneficiary of Kemba being out and Jayson missing 2 weeks as well. So he's been in that. Here's the ball. You're our guy. You're getting a high volume of shots. He's putting up 18 a game this year, and I think that has a little bit to do with his
25
with his number.
This year.
But yeah, that's what I said, didn't I?
Said 18.
Okay. All right,
18 shots a game is what I meant.
Oh, okay.
He's getting a lot of a high percentage there, but he just doesn't have everything that we mentioned. He doesn't have the ability to go out there and own a franchise, be the best player on your team, and still be in contention. Even when he plays and Tatum doesn't play, they're not a winning team. He might give you some numbers, but they're not going to win with him. You're not going to be a winning franchise.
I'm not talking about Tatum.
Brad,
I'm saying, why is it that you guys don't think Jaylen Brown is going to get better?
All right,
that's my only question.
Let me tell you why.
We're not talking about the question, your question anymore, Eric.
Few points. I don't think Jaylen Brown is a good shooter. This is his free throw percentage. Now, keep in mind, this is open shots, non-contested. 68.5%, 64.4, 65.8, 72.4, 77 this year. But I'm using this year as an anomaly. Because I think he could get better, but I don't think you're ever going to expect him to get in the 80s.
So that's your answer. You just don't think he's a great shooter. And free throw percentage. Free throw percentage is an excellent indicator of who's a great shooter. That's a good reason why Russ Westbrook isn't a great shooter.
But also let's look at what he does besides that, because shooting impacts scoring. Now I'm looking at his assist to turnover ratio. He's averaging about 4 assists this year, which is his career high. But he's averaging close to 3 turnovers per game. His assist to turnover ratio for his career is 1.7 to 1.6. So for about every assist,
not a guard, that doesn't matter.
No, but it's somebody. If you're building the team around, whether it's a guard or not, he's going to have the ball in his hand.
I'm not. No, I'm not even talking about building a team. I'm still talking about why is it that you think Jaylen Brown
he's a little bit of a black hole when he gets the ball. He can't really create for others well, and that doesn't make good team unity. It doesn't make everybody click.
Everything that you guys are mentioning does not describe why he's not going to get better. Like, decision making gets better as you get older. Like,
I'm on the record. I'm saying he's going to get better. I don't know if these numbers, like his points per game, is going to get better. He's going to get a better player overall.
All right, Brad. Let me ask you. He's shooting 49.5% from the field, which is a career high.
Which is incredible.
He's shooting
40-90 type shit.
He's shooting 38.8% from three-pointer, which is a career high. He's shooting a 77.2% from the free throw line.
All things
these are all career highs. Besides the free throw percentage, which, look, I could see him scratching 80, maybe shooting 81, 82%, but he only goes to the line about 5 times a game. Where do you think
forward we're talking about?
But I'm saying is, do you think his shooting? Do you think he's going to be shooting over 50% the rest of his career? Do you think he's going to be a 40+ 3-point percentage shooter the rest of his career?
That's what I'm asking. I'm saying, why not? Like, why you guys are acting like him having a career high in his most recent year, this year, is an anomaly. When I'm saying, why can't it just be he's getting better?
I just don't think anybody
I think he's in their candidacy for
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I think he's incredible. Like, I think this 6'6", 230-pound kid who's gonna be, just a monster in this league is having his career best season at the age of 24, and he's gonna continue to get better. Like, I see no reason why this is gonna be his career best season over his entire, 15-year career, because he's just going to continue to make better decisions. He's going to continue to learn the game. He's going to continue to, get better free throws. He's going to shoot better. All these,
Brad,
his entire trajectory has been up. So why do we think it's going to go down?
Brad, name me a guard or a non-center or a non-Kevin Durant that shoots over 50% from the floor year in, year out.
Exactly. This kid's a fucking anomaly. Like, why are we treating him like he's some?
Kevin Durant is an anomaly. Kevin Durant is an anomaly. A 6'10" man that has a sniper and unlimited range. That's an anomaly. Jaylen Brown is a 6'6" forward. That is an average NBA small, average NBA small forward. How many non-centers? I want a specific player that shoots 50% or higher year in, year out.
Okay, LeBron James.
Yeah. Also, let me turn this around on you because I don't quite understand what you're trying to say. I turn it around and say, how many forwards are averaging 25, 5, and 4 at the age of 24 or 25?
Paul George.
Exactly.
LeBron.
Like you're naming fucking superstars. Like, why are we saying this kid can't be that?
He's stiff. He doesn't have too many moves. And the ball, it's like I said, it's a black hole. It doesn't move well when he gets it. And that doesn't serve well for good ball movement.
Exactly. So this is what he's doing without moves. What's going to happen when he gets some moves?
So wait,
he's still a baby.
So LeBron shoots over 50.4% for his career. If you think Jaylen Brown is having a similar career path as LeBron, then we're gonna just end it right now. But think I'm gonna pull up. I'm pulling up.
Hold on. Number one,
I'm pulling up some great shooters. Steph Curry, 47% for his career. James Harden, 45% for his
career. I don't need him to do that. I'm saying he's doing it now, and he's only a baby. Like, he hasn't even scratched the surface of his potential, and you guys are automatically saying that he's going to get worse.
I didn't realize Jaylen Brown played for the Wizards, and you had to defend him at all costs.
I think you're treating him like it's some sort of. I think you brought it up perfectly. You're treating him like a prop bet. You're saying, what are the odds that this guy is going to average this for his whole career?
I don't know. Yeah.
And those odds are slim. He doesn't need to do that, though. I'm saying he's going to evolve. Like, he's just a baby right now. So if you're doing this right now and you don't even have any moves, what's going to happen when you get moves? What's going to happen when you learn how to play the game? What's going to happen when you're a 9-year vet in this league and you know people's tendencies and you know how people guard
But when you're a 9-year vet, you're not going to have the explosiveness he has now. Like, I think of LaMelo Ball, someone that can't buy alcohol legally. That's a baby. Jaylen Brown, this is his fourth or fifth year in the league. 5th year in the league. Like, keep in mind, your legs aren't going to be as fresh when you're 29, 30 as you are 23, 24. He might not have that same explosiveness. So you're saying, yeah, you're going to get more savvy. And Brad has his mute on mic, so he can't even argue my point.
I'm done with that argument. Like, you can't honestly tell me that this 29-year-old, 30-year-old player in the age of modern medicine and the age where Tom Brady just won a Super Bowl and the age where LeBron has taken one game off and is doing incredible things, that he's not going to have his legs at 29, 30 years old. Like, I'm
Jaylen Brown, if you're hearing this, Brad put you in the same stratosphere with Tom Brady and LeBron James. MCM, Man Crush Monday. But it'll be interesting to see, if the Celtics actually decide to go all in.
Let me ask you this. Am I at least making sense? Like, do I sound crazy? Like, is this a crazy argument that this kid who's 24 years old is going to get better? Like, how is that crazy?
I don't think it's crazy to say. I think there's both sides of the coin. But Brad, I mean, you pick certain things and you plant your flag in it. Unrelated to the basketball, you had Kyler Murray being your QB1. You had
which is right.
You have Andre Drummond being the best rebounder of all time. Like,
which is factual.
I respect that you plant your flags.
Russell Westbrook for MVP.
Yeah, and sometimes they're going to be right, and sometimes they're going to be wrong. Like your takes on Blake Griffin. And to be honest, that's what makes these shows fun. Is there's not a right or wrong answer. We're all knowledgeable enough to be able to back our wrong answer. To back our point. Yeah, you're right. We're right. You're wrong.
Brad, I wouldn't say you're crazy to make the argument. I would think it would be crazy for the Celtics, though, to trade Jayson Tatum away and expect that Jaylen Brown is going to give you the same.
Coach, I agree that it would be crazy to do that. But the question was,
for both of them,
you have to trade one. Absolutely keep them.
I'm glad I saved this for last. But a show that we thought was gonna be a short segment ended up being
another hour in me.
Yeah, what's up?
And we know that this will be a future topic coming up. And speaking of future topics on debates, make sure you check out our YouTube channel, Triple Play Fantasy. Coach James and Kevin have done a great job with Coach's Corner, having some debates. They had Kyrie versus LeBron as the beef reel. They had all-star discussion. They have an upcoming debate itself of Jaylen versus Cade, which one they'd rather have, and two coaches that really just follow the game and love it at a really deep level. So make sure you check out those as well. If you're not following us on social media, make sure you're doing so at Trip Play Fantasy. We look forward to providing more great content, and everybody stay safe.